Welcome to Planet Marzipan Podcast,
your fish and Marillion podcast,
where we talk about all things in the planet of Marillion and fish. I'm Mezza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another Planet Marzipan podcast. And we're here just on our own this week, no special guest this week, but we're here to talk about Fish's last album, Weltschmerz.
And it's a doubler.
It's a doubler, yes, it's a doubler album. This is the most recent release that we will have discussed at this point, isn't it, really?
By about 25 years.
Yes, it's very up to date. But it's
So
only
like us.
2020, yeah. So, Weltschmerz came out in 2020. So, Craig, how old would you have been?
I was a ripe old age of 48.
Oh, my God.
Decrepit. Falling a bit.
Still the right side of 50, though.
Barely.
It's the first release that we're discussing that doesn't have a Wikipedia entry. Da, da, da.
Well, you'll have to create your own on there, John.
I will, but what I'm actually
Make
gonna
it up
do-
as we go on. Come on, we're going to have some fun with this.
I'm
This
gonna-
is Fish's 57th album.
It's Fish's first comedy album.
recorded in the Funny Farm on castanets.
Yes. We're featuring a guest appearance by Eminem on the third track. Alternatively, I could just read the Wikipedia entry for the word Weltschmerz, which is a German word, and it literally means world pain. But it's a literary concept describing the feeling experienced by an individual who believes that reality can never satisfy the expectations of the mind, resulting in a mood of weariness or sadness about life arising from the acute awareness of evil and suffering. So, like I said, it's his comedy album.
Pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. It's reminiscent of Fugazi, isn't it, really? But
Yeah. I mean, one thing I can say about this album for myself is when it came out, and even now, I don't think I was, and I don't think I am now, still prepared and in the right frame of mind and in the right presence for this album. It's
for
almost
it to be his last, or
well, there's that. I think that's possibly part of it, but I think it's also because it's such a big, sprawling concept that hits so many subjects and so many things that require deep thought and deep meaning to everything.
There's no light subject matter on this album at all. But
no, it's all
I think
kind
it's better
of
for it.
Yeah. So I think even now, 3 years on, I'm still digesting it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the tracks and everything. It feels a bit churlish to say it's too long, but it probably is.
Yeah.
But being too long, as a listener, you've got the choice of not listening to it all, just listen to parts of it, or, pick the tracks you like and just play those. But
yeah, it's very long, it's very dense, and it's
a good episode, this, isn't it?
And it's very heavy. It's just really surprised with Eminem's rapping in it.
I like it. I mean, overall, I think it's up there with some of his best work. There's tracks on this that are, for me, we'll talk about them soon, but that are, for me, some of the best songs he's ever done.
There's a couple of there's a couple on there for me that's the same, yeah.
I mean, it was released on the 25th of September 2020, and I seem to recall that vinyl orders came through earlier than CD.
I don't know, because obviously you're the vinyl fetishist.
Well, I remember getting my vinyl and talking to you, and you'd not received your CD pack at that point.
No. It's all that long ago, isn't it?
Well, no, it's not. It's quite recent
It
compared
is,
to
but
some of the stuff we talk about.
I think
But,
that's as you get older, some of the newer stuff doesn't sink in as well as the older stuff.
well, it feels a bit strange. I mean, just harking across to between you and me, I think Paul and Sanya are currently reviewing, as we record, reviewing sounds that can't be made. And Paul's made some comment about it's slightly different reviewing stuff that's more recent.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the benefit of hindsight and, that time to form long-term opinions on things.
And I think also considering it's not an album that we've seen live a lot. If anything that we have reviewed or will be reviewing in the future, this album is something that has not been toured, apart from an amount of gigs that you can pretty much count on one or two hands.
Well, we'll talk about that because it's got quite a long
gestation
period, this album, hasn't it? I think Fish talks in the documentary and the Blu-ray box about first ideas forming around about 2015 for this album.
And when he was telling people as well at the time, this is going to be my last album.
But that in itself puts extra pressure on him, I think.
Massively.
Because he wants to go out with some quality product. And I think that's probably, there's lots happened, his health and lots of things happened in the interim period. But I think that pressure probably delayed things as well.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go through the tracks now, and then we'll do a deeper dive into the history and...
Okay, so the first track on the album is Grace of God, which starts with the MRI scanner, doesn't it?
It does. Very atmospheric track.
Yeah. I quite like it as an opening. I think the drone of the scanner and then the melody sort of coming out of that is really clever.
See, musically for me, Grace of God, the first half of it, the atmospherics and stuff, I absolutely love. When it changes the perspective, like halfway through and goes into the more strummy guitar, when it changes the perspective to the daughter visiting the dad in the hospital, musically it loses me then. I think lyrically, this is one of the things I'll find throughout the album. Musically, I love a lot of the songs, but sometimes, and in this song, where the music changes, but the music that it changes to isn't as engaging as the music that was in the first half.
Right. Almost brass-like sounds in it, hasn't it?
Yeah. But lyrically, it's brilliant all the way through. Facing your mortality and also the effects that it has on family, and again in this other part of the song, like the daughter. And like I say, it's good. It's a good track. It really is a good track.
I like it. It's a nice opener. As I say, the idea of putting the scanner on the beginning is really clever. I've reviewed the surround mix of this by Avril and Andy as well, but I'll kind of feed those into the track conversations if that's all right.
Yeah,
because the voice samples that are in Grace of God at the beginning all sort of bounce from speaker to speaker. It's really clever. There's also a xylophone later on, which just appears in the rear speakers. It's very clear. Fish's vocal in the center speaker. But yeah, it's a good opening. Nice. It's not dissimilar to what you're going to hear throughout the album. So in that respect, it's a good taster for what's to come, I think.
Yeah.
So on to the single, almost the single, Man with a Stick.
This is where I can actually say that Foss Patterson has played a blinder on this song. This is
often, is it?
It's one of my favourite songs on the album. And I think from when first saw it, when they did the Clutching at Straws tour back in 2016, wasn't it? When we first heard this, was 2018. 2018. That was a standout live track. And then obviously on the Parley with the Angels and on the album there, it's absolute corker. Corker.
I think it's very clever. I think the rhythm, the drum rhythm and the intro with the tapping of the drumsticks is very clever.
Yeah.
Steve Vancis has got a great bass sound on that. That bass rattles on that track. Even more so in the surround mix, the bass reverberating, it's making a real sound at the bottom end. The rhythm's got a slight echo in the rears, which gives it a bit of space as well, so it kind of opens all of that out. There's a really dirty guitar riff as well under the keys lines. It's a good track, and it stands up with a lot of his. This is up there with Brother 52 for me. It's commercial fish, catchy.
It is, but lyrically, it's not catchy. It's not exactly a sing-along song. It's a very, very much an earworm.
Yeah. Good song, and it was a radio hit for him, wasn't it? It played on the rock radio when it came out, I think.
Ooh.
So track 3 is Walking on Eggshells.
Same thoughts to this as to Grace of God. It's, for me, a song of two halves. Lyrically, great all the way through. Musically, I only really like the first half of it.
Right.
When it changes up into the second half, it loses it.
I don't mind it. It's an album track. It's it doesn't let the side down with the album.
No.
Fits in nicely.
No.
It's not as good as some things that are coming up, I would say, but it's okay.
How's the surround mix? How's the surround mix on this one?
Well, surround mix, it's fairly basic. Keys are at the front, guitars are at the back, and Fish is in the centre speaker. It's not sort of all singing, all dancing, jumping around. It's just a nice mix.
So we have to put Eminem in this mix.
Eminem is in the outside, the speaker outside in the garden. I think you'll find. Yeah. Next song is This Party's Over.
It's a cracking little ditty. Nice. I think it's got a canny little video to it as well.
Yeah, it's a nice song, quite jaunty.
Yeah, and it's a good kind of like I'm out of here song.
Yeah.
Anything particularly good on the surround on this one? Or?
Nothing on that. I've made no notes at all, so I just listened to it, which was quite nice. I just enjoyed it.
So you just enjoyed it?
I just sat and enjoyed it and made no notes at all.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah. Next is one of the album's epic tracks, Rose of Damascus.
Lyrically, this is a stormer. Musically, it doesn't do it for us. I think it's a very worthy song, and like a lot of the songs on this album, which I don't say in any way as a criticism, are very, very, very wordy. The lyrics of this, as the album as a whole, there are probably more lyrics in this album than you would normally have in like three Fish albums put together. This is a long song. It tells an emotive story, a Syrian girl, and it's heartbreaking. It's what you would kind of class as a Fish classic, and it should be up there. But for me, musically, it doesn't do anything for us. And I've tried, and I've tried to almost like try to force myself to love it, because the subject matter is serious. Then I say the lyrics are great. Lyrically, it's he's up there with it. But musically, it just doesn't do it for us.
I must admit, I struggle with this as well. It's the surround mix is better than the stereo mix in that it's more interesting. The sections of it, there's a section in the middle that just reminds me of Jungle Ride. It's almost carbon copy of Jungle Ride for me, but no, I struggle with Rose of Damascus. It's like you say, it's a serious lyric. It's a long prog song, but it's not one of the best on the album for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's over 15 minutes long, and it's just not musically engaging.
Well,
it's. I wish it did more for me than it does, and I'm not going to go turn around and be as gauche to try and compare it to Gaza or anything like that.
It's similar it's similar to Gaza, but Gaza's. I mean, we'll review that as well, but
thematically
but I struggle with Gaza. I don't. Gaza's not a song you want to put on and listen to for some relaxation, is it?
No.
And neither is this.
No.
Neither is this.
But I think it's something that Fish thought needed to be said and needed to be talked about and needed to be discussed and needed to be in the consciousness of people.
I think it fits with the other themes on the album and with the
yes.
title of the album.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's here.
Yeah, it is. It fits perfectly with the themes of the whole album.
Yeah.
Then it deserves its place on the album, and I'm sure loads of people love it.
I think following This Party's Over is difficult as well because it's
because it's almost like he has a jolly ditty of a big bit of a something that rhymes with muck off song. Trying to keep our explicits off this week, trying to behave ourselves.
have 1 week where we're not X-rated, yeah.
Yeah, well, if Eminem starts bleeding in now, we'll get the parental advisory on.
Okay, well, that's the last track on disc 1. Disc 1 comes in at just over 42 minutes. So Fish was set out to make a double album, and he has, in the true old-fashioned sense, has made a double vinyl album. Because both discs are about 42 minutes long.
Song, yeah.
On to disc 2 then, Garden of Remembrance.
How to do this song justice. It's possibly one of his best songs ever.
There's no possibly about it.
It's a stunner, isn't it, really? And it's heartbreaking, and it's
an incredible track. It's so emotional. The video as well, for it is
really good. Really good.
Just brilliant. But it's a similar sort of thing, but stronger emotionally than A Gentleman's Excuse Me. But, it's that sort of it's one of the best things he's ever done in his entire career for me.
Yeah, it's up there, it really is. I mean, to deal with the kind of subject matter of, getting older and things like dementia setting in and stuff, and it's kind of like a love letter to his parents as well.
Yeah. But it's done in a really sympathetic way, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Trying to sort of explain both sides of that situation as well.
You can see it in the video, and you can see how they dealt with it in the video, and the fact that, he does shed a tear in it. It's emotional. It's initially, didn't he wanted to get his mum in the video at the end? He did. Couldn't make it happen. Didn't want to make it happen. Just didn't.
I think that's probably for the best, really. But it's in this entire podcast. This is one of the best songs we'll talk about. Yeah.
But it's hard to kind of talk about it and do it justice. You've just got to play. Yeah. You've just got to bloody play the thing.
If you're a fan that doesn't keep up to date with Fish, just listen to that song. It is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, just get yourself onto YouTube and watch the video.
Yeah. Next song is Sea Song, the Trondheim Waltz.
That was one of the ones, again, that we heard earlier on.
We played that on the 2018 tour.
Yeah, it's not a one that I particularly go back to a lot.
I think Foss wrote some of that, didn't he?
I think so.
Just checking in the booklet.
Who's that? Marshall Mathers?
I can't get the booklet out to check it. I'll tell you in a minute. Oh dear. I got the deluxe rather than that thing.
Who's Stan?
Dido, what's she doing on here?
Oh, Dido! I thought there was an L in there.
Yeah, there's no L. Shut up. Talk amongst yourself.
Are you colouring in your booklet there? You can't put crayons on Mark Wilkinson's artwork.
Yeah, Foss, Dick Patterson Bowles. So Foss has got a writing credit on that, which is probably why it was on the 2018 tour as well, because he was part of the band then, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's nice. Another ditty.
Anything to report on
Surroundy? No, other than the backing vocals are in the rear speakers, nothing really.
It was either that or somebody was shouting at you from behind.
Yeah.
Turn it down!
They weren't. Yeah. It's quite a sparse arrangement. It's nice. Yeah.
Was that one of the songs he actually wrote when he was across in Germany?
Possibly. He talks about it in the documentary, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, the documentary is well worth watching. But we'll discuss that.
Yeah, talk about that in a minute. So next track is last one on side 3 of the vinyl, Little Man What Now?
Now, I know you struggled with this one.
Yeah.
I've reappraised it. I was listening to it at work yesterday when I was faffing on, and I actually quite enjoyed it. It was one of the songs that I've only really... again, with this album, with it being so long, it's not something that you sit and devote like an hour and a half to
No.
that often, because it's an investment in time, and
The better album to listen to on vinyl, because you've got 20 minutes and then you've got to get out your chair and turn it over.
Yeah. But no, I was listening to it, reappraising it, and it's quite a jazzy.
Yeah, there's a lot of saxophone in it, there, which, you know.
And
excessive sax.
You know, you're a sax addict.
Well, I'm not in this case. I'm allergic to sax.
I'm not even going to make the as you get older joke.
No.
But no, I reappraised it, and I enjoyed it more when I was re-listening to it yesterday. And the title's lifted from a book.
It is by Hans Fallada.
Not a clue what the book's about.
No, but it is literally called, the book's called Little Man What Now.
So have you suffered it in surround, or?
Yeah.
Is there too much sax in your rear speakers? Or?
I've put, this is a callback to a previous podcast where I put keys, twinkles in rears. Got some key twinkles in the rear speakers.
Key twinkles in your ears.
Sorry, folks, this is not up to standard, this surround review. I know that, but it's a great. Andy and Avril have done the surround mix on this, and it's as good as the ones on the Fugazi album and Script. It's really good. They're fantastic at these mixes. So I am underselling it massively, so please excuse me.
So up next, one thing that we're all sick of seeing on Facebook, people, will you please stop doing it?
When I was up there to see Still Marillion, you've got her. Waverley Steps.
Well, to be fair though, nobody climbs Waverley Steps. They should change it now to Waverley Escalators.
You do? I climb them.
Yeah, because you need to get your steps up.
Oh, thanks very much. I like this. I like it. Of the longer songs on the album, it's my favourite.
It's quite acoustically driven in parts, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's nice.
Well, subject matter wise, it's not nice, but it's
but it's I don't know. I think it's more interesting. It's more interesting than Rose of Damascus for me. It's got different passages, and it kind of leads you on a story musically as well as
thematically. Yeah. I mean, this is a song that deals with like male depression, suicide, homelessness.
Yeah.
All the fun subjects. But again, it's dealt with in like Fish has done with the rest of this album, with all the subject matters that he's done. It's sincere. It's
well researched. Again, that's the theme throughout the album. Everything is well researched and as accurate as it can be.
Yeah.
Nothing is. There's no throwaway lyrics on this album.
And there's nothing. There's nothing flippant on the album either.
No, not at all. No.
And I'm not trying to say it, and it's not a preachy album, and it's not an album that's trying to be worthy. It just is what it is, and it's in Fisher's own style.
Yeah,
and like I say, it's a very, very wordy album, and it's something that you could actually throw the music away, give yourself an hour or so, and just read through the lyric book. There's a lot of just like interesting words there.
And that brings us to the title track, which is the final track, Weltschmerz.
And Fisher's last ever song, or new song that we're actually going to hear. So, no pressure.
Yeah.
And I like the song.
It's good. It's a nice way to round it off. He played it on Fish on Friday the other week. I think it rounds it off in a really solid way. I think of the 84 minutes on the album, if you take off, for me, Rose of Damascus and Little Man What Now, there's a very solid 60-odd minute album there. But that's, as I said at the top of the pod, that's me being churlish. It's great that it's out in the format that it's out. That's how you wanted to put it out. And more is better than less. You can choose then as a listener.
Yeah. So here's an odd question for you. When you first got the album, and when you first listened through, when you got to the end of Weltschmerz, the song itself, how did you feel after? Because your place between the two of us, you've been there from the beginning, whereas I haven't. It was between Season's End and Vigil that really got me into fishing really north. But you've been there, longer than I have. So to get to that point where this is where he's put his flag on the top of the hill. This is where I'm finishing. How did you feel, or how do you still feel about it?
I feel a little bit sad, but I think it's a great way to go out. If he'd have finished on other albums that I'm not going to name, but I'm just going to show Craig on the screen.
Is it something to do with the Da Vinci? Da Vinci.
If he's finished on other albums.
Why am I saying Da Vinci? For God's sake.
No, it's nothing to do with Da Vinci.
Nothing to do with Da Vinci.
It's something to do with birds.
Yeah, something to do with birds and something to do with a Van Gogh.
If he'd have finished on that, I would be disappointed. But I think this is a really good way to end your recorded output. It's sad. And I actually, as we said, I played it on vinyl first because that was all that arrived. The vinyl came first. And I don't think I played it in one sitting. I played record 1 and then on another day played record 2. It's one of his best albums.
Yeah.
It's not in my top 3, but it's one of his best albums.
Yeah. I think for me, lyrically, it's possibly some of his finest work. Musically, for me, not so much. There are certain songs where I think that musically it's brilliant. But some of it, I'll openly hold my hands up and say that I kind of struggle with. But I've had that relationship with Fish albums for probably like the last 20 years. It depends on I find it depends on who he's writing with.
Yeah.
And which kind of musical styles and things that they're going with.
I think the other thing that strikes me is that Fish feels like he tours less than Marillion.
Which he does.
So, and then when he does, he plays selected tracks from new albums, usually in with a classic old album, whereas Marillion will feature the new album.
To be fair, I think that's only been since about 2005, because since about 2005, he's
20 years nearly.
Yeah, he's toured with an older album and a newer album. So, you'll go out with, he went out with Misplaced and he went out with Clutching as well as the newer stuff. So he's interspersed it rather than going out purely. I think the only one I can think of was the Movable Feast tour, where that was just predominantly the Feast of Consequences as the lead. But again, that's going back to 2013 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's 10 years.
Should we talk about the contents of the deluxe package? The CD
it's such a beauty.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's absolutely fantastic, this thing.
Bound book in a slipcase.
And it's really heavy.
Really heavy, nice matte finish on it. Disc 1 and Disc 2 of the CD, as we've talked about. And then Disc 3 is the Blu-ray, which has a 5.1 mix in DTS and PTM. It's got Weltschmerz live from the 2018 tour, 4 tracks. It's got A Tale of Weltschmerz, which is Fish in conversation with Will Smith, the stand-up comedian.
Get your album title out of your mouth.
Not that one. Behind the Mask, which is an interview with Mark and Julie Wilkinson, which is fantastic, I think.
It is fan-dabby-doozy, that.
Really talks about... Well, we'll talk about that in a minute when we talk about the lead up to the album, I think, if that's okay. But it talks about Mark's struggles with his health and the mirror of some of what Fish went through as well.
Yeah, a lot of the Grace of God stuff there, isn't there?
Yeah, and then there's song videos and making of features for Man with a Stick, Weltschmerz, Garden of Remembrance, and This Party's Over. It's highly recommended. It's a fantastic book.
In fact, pause the podcast now and go on to fishmusic.scot or fishmusic.eu and buy the bloody thing, because it's well worth the money. I mean, the artwork and, how many pages? About 100-page book or something like that, isn't it? And you've got lyrics, you've got the photos, you've got Fish has got a whole document of themes behind stuff. And Mark Wilkinson's artwork in this is second to none. As a package, it's like,
And it
if you
has
haven't got it, get it.
Yeah, and it's also got a really nice final image of the jester in the package as well, hasn't it?
Which was kept as a secret, and even when it came out, Fish was asking people, just don't spoil it.
It's a stunning image. It really is. As we said, the album lead up sort of started it was first talked about in 2015, and in 2016, Fish lost his dad. And then in 2016 and 2017, he had health problems with his back and his shoulder and had operations. And also then Mark Wilkinson had cancer as well. So there were lots of parallels going on between the pair of them, weren't there, really, with health issues. And from watching the documentary about Mark and the album cover, there were some disagreements, which was unusual for their relationship. Mark had done some images that Fish wasn't really that fond of.
Which is a first, wasn't it?
Yeah. But it was around 2018-ish, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, Fish did take the 4 of the songs out from this album on tour in 2018. The 2018 Weltschmerz / Clutching at Straws tour ran from the 22nd of September to the 13th of December.
Which coincided with the release of Parley of Angels EP, didn't it?
It did, yeah. Parley with Angels came out on the 21st of September 2018. So it's early versions, they are slightly different versions of Man with a Stick, Waverley Steps and Little Man What Now. And then 4 live tracks from 2017, Circle Line, State of Mind, Emperor's Song and The Voyeur.
But we all bow down to the Emperor's Song.
Nothing wrong with the Emperor's Song.
I love that song.
But you'll be dissing that.
I'm not dissing that. I still, as an aside, my still favourite version of Emperor's Song was the one that was used on the B-side of Lady Let It Lie, the live version of that. We shall now return you to normal programming.
There's an off-topic comment, if ever heard one, yeah. So, yeah, he toured in 2018, and that was issued as a double live CD, The Last Straw, from Glasgow Academy.
I saw that at Newcastle Academy.
Yeah, I saw that tour at Hull City Hall on the 12th of December. But it's quite a nice set list. Slange, Man with a Stick, Hotel Hobbies, Warm Wet Circles, That Time of the Night, Little Man What Now, Torch Song, White Russian, Just for the Record, Sea Song, Going Under, Sugar Mice, Waverley Steps, The Last Straw, Tucson, and Incommunicado.
That was a good gig. I remember actually being down the front on the barriers for that.
Right. Fanboying.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Got to be done.
I went to see him in Leeds at the beginning of that tour as well, so I saw him at the beginning and the end of those dates. He also tried to tour the album in 2020 and played one gig at the Lemon Tree in Aberdeen.
Before lockdown
kicked in, yeah. So he played the Lemon Tree in Aberdeen on March the 13th, 2020, where he played Big Wedge, Man with a Stick, State of Mind, Family Business, Vigil, Rose of Damascus, He Knows You Know, Weltschmerz, This Party's Over, Cliché, View from a Hill, and then he encored with A Gentleman's Excuse Me and Script, and then final track of The Company. I actually had tickets for Homefirth, which I think was the night or 2 nights after that gig, but yeah.
That Lemon Tree gig, it was available on YouTube, wasn't it?
It was, but it's on Vigil's End as well.
Yes, so the Vigil's End double live CD with the Blu-ray, that's one of the bonus features on it.
Yeah.
It's like 85 minutes long.
So yeah, the Vigil's End tour ran from 14th of November to 24th of November 2021. I think you went to the first night, didn't you?
I was at the first night in Glasgow.
Yeah. And then the last night was Leamington Spa and was captured in the Vigil's End, what did he call it?
Global Broadcast.
That's it, Global Broadcast which was pay-per-view, and then he's issued it as a Blu-ray and 2 CD set. Very nice it is too.
Yes, it's a nice little set.
It's also got an alternative UK tour set. So this is audio only on the Blu-ray, but it's versions of the same set, but from different places. So Southampton, Frome, Cambridge, Liverpool, Glasgow. So it's nice. It's a nice set. And I have to say, as the Blu-ray, it's got live footage, but then it's got effects put over the top. But I don't think they're that.
No, not too intrusive.
No, that's why I don't think they're that too intrusive. It kind of enhances it nicely, I think.
Yeah. But the thing is, with both The Last Straw and Vigil's End, they both got Weltschmerz material on. They both have obviously got Clutching at Straws and Vigil material on. So the CDs that are available there, but also most of this stuff and the alternative versions are available on streaming, aren't they?
I know he's kind of put lots of stuff up on streaming, as we've talked about recently, hasn't he? So
yeah,
the Vigil's End set is highly recommended as well.
It is. So this album was quite funny though, because it's a product of lockdown in a lot of respects.
Yeah,
because the tour was kind of cut short because of lockdown. A lot of the last bits of the recording and stuff were affected because of lockdown, and it came out while we were actually still in lockdown, or was it when we were out of lockdown temporarily? I'm trying to remember.
We were out of it by then. We were about to go into the second one, weren't we? I think, but yeah, it's a product of its time. But like I said, I think it stands up with a lot of his albums. It's one of the best things he's done.
But it's just a shame that it hasn't been toured.
Yeah,
to the extent, and I think that's
be interesting to see how much of it he plays on the final tour.
Which is all well and good, but it's sad to feel a bit shortchanged due to circumstances for not actually getting to see a proper tour of it. I mean, it was interesting seeing Vigil, but again, there's only, like you mentioned earlier, there was only 4 tracks really being played in the Clutching set and in the Vigil set with it, so you've not been able to see things like Garden of Remembrance live, it's
yeah, but I mean, would Garden of Remembrance work live?
Does Gentleman's Excuse Me work live?
Well, yeah, I see what you mean.
There
is only one version that we've not really talked about.
Let's just get yourself prepared, because by some measure of a chance, could you be thinking that this could now be time for your favourite slot?
It's always time for my favourite slot, Craig. It's just for the record.
Here we go. Can I just say something first before you do this?
Yeah.
And can I really apologise to the listeners before you do this?
Go on.
Fish announced this week that there are no more vinyl copies of Weltschmerz left, and he's not going to produce any more.
Did he? When
Yes.
did he say that?
Was it on the Fish on Friday or just? It's been announced. It's out there. So I apologise to everybody, because my good friend Mr. or Mrs. Marzipan, whichever it is today, is going to be going about something that he's going to love, and you can't buy it at the minute. But if you want to kind of contact Fish and shout and scream and go, I want my Weltschmerz and vinyl, don't blame me. Come on then, John.
Despite all that, it's a really nice pressing. It's nice to see some of the artwork in big format. The inner sleeves, I've got some of Mark's artwork on and all the lyrics. It's a really nice set, and it was only about 30 quid. So it was a bargain. But you can't buy them now, according to my learned friend.
So is there any particular song on your vinyl that sounds particularly good?
No, it all sounds good, and I don't mean this to be to sound detrimental. It's better for being broken into 20, 22-minute chunks. It's less dense. You just, you've at very least got to get out your chair and go and turn it over. which breaks it up. I think it's a really nice. It's a shame he's not going to put it out. You know, I don't know how expensive these pressings he's having done by Seabass Vinyl are, but it would be nice if he could repress it.
Please and thank you.
Yeah, definitely. But if you do see one, I don't know where you'd see it because you could only buy it from him, couldn't you?
You could. Oh, no, this is the thing. So it's a bit of an elephant in the room, kind of, to talk about the distribution of Weltschmerz.
If you're going to talk about it, I would like to point out that this is Craig Houston speaking, not me. Not me.
Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
I understand why he's done what he's done with his own label. The fact that he distributed it himself, yes, he's kind of got the fishmusic.eu site, but how many sales has he lost out with around the world with just only being available on his own little mail order site that you can't buy anywhere from, you know, HMV to Amazon to everywhere else that people get gift vouchers for Christmas? And I think coming to his retirement now and planning on shutting down the fishmusic.scot kind of setup leaves the fan base hanging until he announces what the next bit of the future is for his catalogue. And it would be ridiculous if the catalogue just stopped and faded into obscurity when there's definite labels out there who would actually take it. Ooh, go on, get your laugh out of the way.
I'm not saying anything. I'm adding nothing to that statement, Craig. Derek, if you'd like to write to us, please address all correspondence to Craig Houston. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to stick your head above the parapet for anything else?
No, I think it's a good album. It's a good album. I recommend it, and the deluxe package is great. And if he's not going to press the vinyls, I don't know how many copies of the deluxe he's got left. So if you're thinking about it, I'd get it before it sells out.
I would run there now and buy it.
I'm not going to go through track by track on this album for Genius or Bollocks because
it wouldn't be fair. And I think I for myself, I would be breaking our own rules for certain things where I'd be doing, I think it's lyrically genius and musically bollocks kind of half an hour. And it's like, no, I can't do it. I cannot know this.
So overall
genius.
Absolutely.
You know,
if you're a Murillo fan who's just kind of sticking with us and not listening to Fish's stuff for a while, I recommend this album. It's great. There's lots to love about it.
And even if you're not prepared to stick in for the hour and a half and you're not sure what to do, go onto YouTube, watch the videos for Man with a Stick, Garden of Remembrance, Party's Over, and Weltschmerz, and you'll get something out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely get something out of it.
Genius from me, and it's genius from him. So we've just got a little bit of time for some correspondence.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so thank you very much to the folks who've been messaging us and emailing us and adding comments on our Facebook group. It's all we welcome it all the feedback, good or bad.
Well, not all the feedback. No, we can't send personalised naked images of Mezza. It's just not allowed.
Let's be honest, nobody's asked for that.
You think?
Yeah, I know.
I had to delete a couple of emails.
Yeah. So I've got an email here from Edwin Amalan, and Edwin is writing to us to say, "Hi, fine people of Planet Marzipan. On 20th of November, my new book, The Marillion Fish Files, a collection of 30 interviews I conducted with all the band members and Fish for various music magazines between 1987 and 2022, will be officially published. It's available initially via Amazon and then later via other channels. So that's something to look out for. It's a book, The Marillion Fish Files by Edwin Amalan, and that's available on Amazon fairly soon. By the time this comes out,
I think you can
It'll be
pre-order it
out.
now. You can
Yeah.
pre-order it now.
And if we get any more information on that, we will talk to you about it.
We got a message on Facebook from Ronald Corn in America. Hi, Ronald. And he's just joined us, listened to the first few episodes. He loves it. He's a long-time fan from America. And poor soul doesn't know any fans over there. So if you see Ronald on Facebook, give him a hi.
I've got an email from Alex at Can I Pod with Madness?
That's a cracking name for a podcast.
Good name, isn't it? Yeah. Hi there. Just a note to say congrats on the first few podcasts. Very much enjoying it. I know you'll have already moved on from it, but on Radiation, I was also at the Manchester gig on that tour. And even though I was a little underwhelmed by that album, I remember thinking that show was one of the best I'd seen at the time. They tore it up that night.
It was a corker.
What's the story behind the title of the pod? Is there a particular reason you chose that song, or was it random? Could it have been called Marowak Jam or something? Craig, why are we called Planet Marzipan?
Oh, because it was the song that fitted the Cakey Boys the best.
So who are the Cakey Boys?
Oh, it's like the A-Team. You just don't talk about them. No, we are the Cakey Boys, a group of friends who've been long-term fans, called the Cakey Boys because me and Mikey, who was on the Holidays in Eden podcast, we own a company called Designer Cake decorating supplies, things like that. And it just grew from there. We are the Cakey Boys. And
we were a quiz team who used to enter the Marillion quiz at the conventions and then went on later to present the quiz at conventions. And I still do present the quiz at conventions with people from the web and from the Parrot Heads. But that's a whole other story we'll talk about in a conventions episode, I'm sure. Alex goes on to say, I am also a podcaster. I do one called Can I Pod with Madness, in which we review old copies of Kerrang and Metal Hammer from the 80s. So we occasionally get some mentions of Marillion in there. Check it out once you get a chance. All the best, Alex. Thanks for your email, Alex. We love the feedback and happy to plug your pod, and we'll take a listen.
Definitely. So any closing thoughts and comments then, Mrs. Marzipan?
Yeah, I think this is a great way for Fish to end his recorded studio recordings, because I'm sure there'll be a release from the final tour. It's a great album. It's got lots of trademark Fish lyrics and some really nice musical sections as well. Stands up with the rest of his stuff. Is better than 3 or 4 of the albums he's put out as well. So yeah, it's a thumbs up from me.
And like I said at the start of the pod, I'm still processing it. And I think I will be for the next couple of years. And do you think I'm in denial? Do you think this could be part of what it is? Yeah. The fact that don't want it to be over?
Maybe.
But I'll still work on it, and I'll still listen to it, and I'll get there in the end.
You sound like you need cheering up.
Oh, I'm fine.
Anyway, folks, thank you very much for listening. We do appreciate it. Please email us at
planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com. And what's it on X?
At Planet Mars, MRZ pod.
Hey! It's usually me who screws it all up, makes a change.
Yeah. You set that up, as we tell them every week.
One of these years I'll actually remember it.
Please keep listening. We've got some guests lined up of various sizes, and, we've got some more fans who are coming on. We've got a few people who've contacted us who'd love to come on, which is great. We're fairly rattling through the albums at the minute, so we might take a bit of a left turn and go off and talk about some events. We've obviously got the Marillion tour to look forward to, which is, as we record, has already started. 2 nights have happened already. Setlist looks very interesting, and we're looking forward to the UK shows in about 10 days' time.
Wolverhampton and London.
Yeah, and we've also got the release of An Hour Before It's Dark live at Port Zealand coming up as we speak. They're starting to be dispatched from Racket Records now. So we'll be reviewing that in the not too distant future. And
Yep.
again, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Can it top All One Tonight as a Blu-ray?
Ooh.
Well,
Ooh, that's a challenge.
it is. But I think from what we saw in Port Zealand, it might well do that.
Okie dokie.
On that bombshell, it's good night from me.
And it's good night, him.
Take care.
And still.
Get your scissors out.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot or fishmusic.eu for all the good stuff.